All right. Week 3 Monday Night Football. Finally, no more double headers after this week. I like, don't get me wrong. I like 2 games on Monday night just as much as the next guy, but I'm trying to eat some food here at this time of day typically. And, the live streams come first, of course. So, Buccaneers, Eagles, this will be a fun one, man. Is Baker Mayfield for real? I mean, we'll probably find out tonight because he'll either look like he's terrible or he'll look fine and, maybe the Bucs win or maybe they keep it competitive. Whatever the case is, I think we'll find an answer to that question tonight.
I'll be the biggest avid Tampa Bay Bucs enjoyer tonight because I will be on your guys' bandwagon. I will be hoping you guys take down the Eagles. And if anything, what I've seen from the offense of the first 2 weeks is indicative of what we can see moving forward. I think you guys have as good a chance as anybody tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you guys lost to the Cardinals, so you couldn't take care of your own business. So you got to cheer for us now, which is hilarious. But
I just cheering against the Eagles. That's how it works.
Our Gravy says CJ Russ or Purdy rest of season in a 4-point per passing touchdown league. I'm taking Brock Purdy here.
Yeah, probably am too. Best weapons group.
Yeah, I mean, Russ is throwing the ball a decent amount this year, which is nice, and looks like their defense isn't very good, which means they're going to maybe keep having to throw the ball a decent amount. But I will take Purdy in that weapons group because he didn't even have Ayuk, who I would consider, at least from a raw receiver standpoint, probably his best receiver. So that's pretty wild that he was still able to do that against the Giants. And they're going to be matchup proof no matter who they go up against, right? Because no matter what you can take away with the 49ers, there's always going to be something that you can do. If you take McCaffrey away, pass catchers are going to bury you and vice versa. So Elijah Moore, Tank Dell rest of the season. That's an interesting question.
So the production wouldn't indicate Elijah Moore right now based off what Tank Dell's been able to do the last 2 weeks, but Elijah Moore's role in that Cleveland Browns offense, he got 12 or 13 opportunities in this past game, 9 of them being receptions. The passing offense at least saw the uptick we were needing to see. Deshaun Watson played a lot better. And yeah, you would expect the efficiency to go up. You don't expect him to turn 9 receptions into 49 yards every single week. So moving forward, as long as Deshaun Watson can show that this wasn't a fluke performance and that he can turn a page, which watching the game, he was breaking sacks, he was making plays out of structure. It wasn't he was just kind of dinking and dunking his way to a good performance. No, he was making plays. So I'm still going with Elijah Moore. I understand CJ Stroud has played well, but at the same time, I think Elijah Moore's a better talent. And I think Elijah Moore's got the opportunity to be a number 2 on what I think could be an ascending Browns passing attack moving forward. If Deshaun Watson keeps playing like that, I think Elijah Moore can be a top 24 wide receiver.
Yeah, no, legitimately. We're talking about Deshaun Watson's highest passing grade this past week. It's highest one that he's had of his Browns career so far. You have to go back to week 17 against the Tennessee Titans, his last game as a Houston Texan, before the last time he had over a 70 PFF passing grade. Again, say what you want about PFF and all that kind of stuff, but to me, it's indicative. 81.8% completion percentage, 8.8 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a guy that actually looked like he was an asset to his offense instead of a liability to his offense for once with the Browns there. So really good performance out of Deshaun Watson. Average up the target was pretty low in that game, 7.4. And Elijah Moore specifically had a lot of screen passes and carries and that kind of thing. Want to see him used a little bit more down the field. But other than that, he looks to be poised to be at least a back end wide receiver 3 at the very least. And I think Tank Dell, you could say the same thing about. I think the thing I have with Tank Dell versus Elijah Moore is that I think Elijah Moore has a little bit higher of a ceiling, but I think they're both pretty comparable rest of the season.
Yeah, and that's more credit to Tank Dell than it is a hindrance on Elijah Moore, to be honest. So, got a super chat here from Boonk. He says 12-team half PPR, Josh Allen, Waddle, London, etc. there. He's 0-3. Any moves? Should he drop all of his fab on A-Chain? So, looking at the rest of your team, it looks like you're pretty stacked at wide receiver, and your running backs have a lot of upside, but you need somebody that can kind of hold down the fort. I would personally drop all my fab on A-Chain, and maybe it gives you an opportunity now where you can consolidate one of those running backs.
Sorry, I'm eating a piece of bread here.
Good,
but Rachaad White and Devon A-Chain, what can that get you? Combining the 2 guys together, or maybe Rachaad White, K9, Breece Hall, those type of guys, they're all good enough to get you by, but maybe Kenneth Walker had a big week this week. A little bit worried about how the usage is going to be going forward with Zach Charbonnet. So yeah, if you
up tier to Tony Pollard.
What's up?
Can you up tier to a guy like Tony Pollard? Like that's
Yeah,
basically the
maybe
question.
maybe it's just Kenneth Walker and Rashad White that gets you there too, and you can package those two guys together. If we get a Rashad White 6 target type of game, gets into the end zone, something like that, that'll be 2 games in a row for him where he's looked pretty good, and maybe you can add those two guys together to get a Tony Pollard, and maybe you grab an Elijah Mitchell off the guy's bench just to balance out the trade and make it a 2-for-2 kind of thing. So, yeah, I think you got some moves there, but I mean, regardless, like A-Chain, if he's on your waiver wire, it is all your fab type of buy. You got a third round pick running back for one of the best offenses in the league who has a chance to at least be a 50-50 timeshare back. We know the history of Raheem Mostert. Like there's a possibility he ends up being more than that as the season goes along. So yeah, A-Chain is an all your fab type of thing, especially if you guys are 0-3 or you're, using the number one priority. If you guys still do a priority system, you definitely want to go after A-Chain.
Yep.
Our Gravy says I have Fields Barf,
Right
but
now
yeah,
it does look
Purdy
like
is the
Burke.
guy that's the pivot for me there. And the first part of his question was this one here. Who do you guys think will step up as the wide receiver 2 for the Chargers? So I think it'll be Palmer, at least at
Initially.
first, from like a raw target standpoint. As the season goes along, Quentin Johnston is the better stash because, this should result in him running more routes and things of that nature. The role that Mike Williams, leaves behind will fit Quentin Johnston's skill set better than Josh Palmer's as well, because QJ has the athleticism. He's the, downfield threat. That's what he did well at TCU. And he also can give you a little bit of like designed, carries and design touches if you want to get him involved in that way. So I'm interested to see what QJ does, but I think, safe projection as of now, I think it'll be Palmer that benefits the most. And maybe Everett too. I mean, Everett might become a viable streaming option at tight end.
Yeah, and I think Bean Counter on Twitter actually like tweeted it out perfectly right now. Depending on what you need, right? If you're 3-0 and you're looking for long-term upside, you want to potentially, have a huge hammer down the stretch that can legitimately give you top 24 level production, top 20 level production. I think the answer for you would be Quentin Johnston. If you're 1-2, you're 0-3, or even if you're 2-1, but maybe you lost a wide receiver, maybe you have like
maybe you
Cooper
lost
Kupp,
Mike Williams.
maybe you lost Mike Williams, right? That's a good point.
Like I might be 1-2 after this week. Like I have a 45% chance of winning this week, but if I lose, I'm going to be 1-2. And I lost Mike Williams. So I'm probably going to be going after Josh Palmer pretty heavily, dropping, 25, 30, 35% of my budget on him.
Yeah, 100%, especially in deeper leagues. I think Josh Palmer can give you top 30 level production right now. I can tell you right now, going forward with my wide receiver rankings, based off how the Chargers are throwing the football and based off how many routes Josh Palmer's running, I mean, from a process standpoint, he's got to be in everybody's top 30 going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be too worried about like, oh, should I spend up on Palmer because, I don't want to get screwed and QJ be the guy that you actually needed. If you're 0-3 or 1-2, you don't really have any options at this point. You kind of, I see a lot of people being really conservative with their fab budget when it comes to like, they're, down and they're like, I'm 0-3 and I'm 1-2. I'm just going to wait for like the better ad to come along. Like if A-Chain ain't out there, I'm telling you right now, like A-Chain, Tank Dell, and that's it pretty much. And then Palmer's right there with Josh Downs and QJ if they're available on the waiver wire. So especially for immediate production, I would say Josh Palmer's probably the second or the third best ad this week.
I'm sorry, but if you're off to the bad start, if you're 0-3, 1-2, I mean, like I said, even 2-1, but you're having major injury concerns now. You don't have the affordability to wait till week 6, week 7, week 8 and pray that this random, 18 point per game lead winner drops on your wire. Like that's just not going to be a happening. That's not realistic. You have to go out there. You have to go earn the wins. How do you earn the wins? Better position your roster to get the wins. How do you do that? Go and spend your fab money. I'm not of the belief that hanging on to 100% of your budget until week 6, week 7, week 8, because you're hoping for the big lottery ticket is actually beneficial. Because at the end of the day, you have to get those wins. Like people shouldn't just put the wins up for the bigger, player maybe later on.
Yeah, and also too, like think about the big waiver budget items that have come so far. Like, I mean, Kyron Williams has been one of the best waiver ads so far this season and probably will continue to be. But when it comes to like the raw like handcuffs, like AJ Dillon and Josh Kelly have been horrible. And they've been, really, really high, in the past. It's like, oh, when someone goes down, like run to the waiver wire and blow all your fab on their backup. Like, I mean, other than Jerome Ford and Kyron Williams, that hasn't really been the case. For the most part this season with some of those other guys, like because they're backup running backs for a reason. They're not always going to be like elite talents and that kind of thing. So, and there's a good chance that like, the high end backups, Tyler Algier, Elijah Mitchell, those type of guys aren't, on the waiver wire in most people's leagues.
Yep. I agree there. So Steven says, is A-Chain worth using a number one waiver spot on? I have Eckler, Stevenson, Warren, and Gainwell. Honestly, you could have the most loaded running back core possible. A-Chain, from a value standpoint, is worth the budget. The reason being is that his trade value is currently so high, A, and he also gives you affordability where if somebody wants to go buy Eckler and is willing to give you a top wide receiver, you now have the running back depth to be able to make a move like that. So I think if you have the opportunity with the number one waiver, you're not going to find many more valuable pieces than Devon H.A. moving forward.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with that. You're not going to find, like, if you missed out on Kyron, if you missed out on Zach Moss, if you missed out on Jerome Ford, like, A-Chain's the dude that you want to be using your number one spot on. Thankfully, I already have him on my roster, so I don't have to worry about using my number one waiver ad on him.
Ryan, you're gone, buddy. Sorry. People warned you in the fucking chat. You're spamming it 7 times. You saying that in all caps isn't going to get us to your answer any faster, buddy.
Yeah, we go in chronological order, fellas.
Take a hike.
LFG, what's going on? Smooth Criminal, what's up, boys? What's up, Andrew? Why is Jahan Dotson making me so sad? Yeah, Jahan Dotson's been a sneaky large disappointment so far. I want to know, like, really what's going on there, to be honest, because Dotson, he's going to be running the routes and, like, he's getting some targets, but, like, for whatever reason, I think he's just not, taken a step so far in his second season. Maybe he's hurt or something. I'm not sure, but his PFF grade was 74.0 last year. It's 58.2 in the first 3 games of this season. So it's probably a Jahan Dotson problem, not a Sam Howell problem, because I always tend to lean towards, like, it's the wide receiver's fault why they're not performing, not the quarterback's fault or the offensive play caller's fault or whatever. So for whatever reason, Dotson isn't playing that well, and he's had some good spots. I mean, we just saw what Denver allowed to the Miami Dolphins, plus Surtain was shadowing McLaurin that game, and, Buffalo had Tre'Davious White on McLaurin last game too. Like, he's had opportunities to produce, and he just hasn't quite got there yet. I'd be inclined to, like, if you're in a deeper league, maybe throw a waiver ad for Jahan Dotson in, like, a trade kind of proposal, because I think he could still be like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, but I'm not going to pay up much for him. He'd be like a throw-in type of piece for a trade.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the way she goes. I'm willing to get him, like you said, in a like a 2-for-1 type of deal if you wanted to down tier from a big name that's performing and you wanted to get, maybe a similar underperforming name with Jahan Dotson attached. I think that would be fine. Like, for example, the one that, like, kind of speaks out to me is insert overperforming wide receiver right now. Could you maybe get CeeDee Lamb plus a Jahan Dotson in exchange for, if I'm looking at my rest of season rankings, wide receiver, who's really performed? Devontae Adams? Can you get Devontae Adams plus a shorter piece in exchange for CeeDee Lamb plus Jahan Dotson right now? I think it's going to be available.
Yeah, well, I mean, Adams is outperforming CeeDee Lamb by a wide margin.
That's what I mean. But, like, I view them as similar tier this year.
Okay, never mind. I got you.
Basically, like, I would personally think, like, if you prefer Adams, that's fine. I would slightly prefer CeeDee, but I think they're the same tier. But I think the market right now may view Adams a notch above because he had that huge game.
Yeah, the guy in my league with Josh Jacobs, for example, has Jahan Dotson as well. So I could, hypothetically take my Ramondre Stevenson and throw on Elijah Moore or somebody from my bench and offer a 2-for-2 that way and get Jahan Dotson as a throw-in for that deal. Because realistically, I still don't view much of a difference between Jahan Dotson, Elijah Moore, Tank Dell, those type of guys rest of season. But Tank Dell is performing at a high level right now. So maybe you could take a tier 3 running back plus Tank Dell, get a tier 2 running back plus Jahan Dotson on the way back, and kind of get yourself some upgrade value over replacement that way. So Smooth Criminal says currently 0-3. Should I trade Jonathan Taylor and Brees for Jacobs and A-Chain, or JT and Zay Flowers for AJ Brown or Waddle? So the first trade, absolutely not. Second trade is definitely more interesting. Jonathan Taylor and Zay Flowers for AJ Brown or Waddle. I mean, Waddle's still in the concussion protocol, but I would say AJ Brown, if we get another, like, milquetoast performance tonight, I would 100% be on board for making that type of move. At 0-3, unfortunately, you just don't have the leverage to hold on to Jonathan Taylor much longer. Like, you have to get wins. So for me, I think I'm okay making that move.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, like, your goal, if you have Jonathan Taylor, is just get to 2-2, right? Like, that's your goal. You're just trying to get to 2-2 until he gets back. Like, for us in our FFPC lineup, we have Jonathan Taylor, and thankfully, Raheem Mostert did the Lord's for us. We had 18 on our bench, unfortunately, but We have, what are we down? 15 points or no? 20 points tonight? But
we're currently down 25, and I think what we have left is
we have Chase,
DeAndre
Higgins,
Swift.
McPherson, and Swift left. So we should be just fine, I would imagine. But
You'd
that
assume
win
so,
would
right?
get us to 1-2. We were 0-2 before that. So we need to really get this win this week and hopefully win again next week. And it looks like Burrow is going to play tonight. So that's good news for Chase and Higgins.
I'm still glad we didn't take the risk, because now that we know that Russ gave us 19 and we don't need an insurmountable amount to score on Monday night, I feel better with it. Obviously, we kind of have a rooting interest anyways with the Bengals because we need them to perform well, but 25 points, even if they have down weeks, we should be able to win, right?
Yeah, I think Russ is going to be like that most of the season. If you guys have Russell Wilson, you 15 to 18 points is just what he's going to give you on his because I think the Broncos might be bad enough on defense that they got to throw a little bit, and I think they're going to figure their shit out at least as an offense. I think it's a little bit murky and sketchy right now for guys like Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy if you guys are relying on those guys, but I think there should be better days ahead. They should maybe start winning some games here and there.
Yep.
Forward. He says going forward, Stroud or T-Law. As much as I love what Stroud has done so far, I'm still taking Trevor Lawrence there.
Same. By the way, make sure you ask your guys questions only once, please.
Yeah, we are going in order as always. So please only ask your question once. We should get to there's not a ton of you guys in here on Monday nights, so we could probably get to every question if we hurry here. Burner says Dynasty half PPR. What side? Chase, an early first, a mid first, and Roschon Johnson. What do you think here?
Chase,
I would be curious to know if this is super flex or not, because that would matter a lot.
Well, yeah, let us know if this is super flex. If that's okay, let's just say for
it's super flex, but if it's a one quarterback league, I'm taking Chase for sure.
So if I'm going through this real quick, if this is a super flex, let's assume early first means 1 to 3.
Yeah, so we're talking Harrison, Williams, or May, and then mid first we're talking Neighbors, Igbuka, Bowers, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe another quarterback, Penix or Ewers or somebody like that if they get first round draft capital. I think
I'm taking the package
still, because I'm still bird in the hand right now, especially after what's happened so far during the season.
Yeah, but at the same time,
and I also think you should be able to get Chase for less than this, just given what his depressed cost looks like right now.
I would want the picks here. Assuming that you're not competing, I would want the picks. Obviously, if you're competing, you take the factor that Jamar Chase can give you that elite production. But assuming this is a dynasty superflex, and assuming that early first is guaranteed 1 to 3, which is basically what I got processed in my mind right now. If that's the case, you're gonna know right now what teams are probably going to be in that mix realistically. So if you're calling it an early first, that has to be a good
chance that if that pick is 101 or 102, how much is the difference going to be between Marvin Harrison and Jamar Chase once Harrison's in the NFL? It won't be Emeka Egbuka of a difference, or whatever that mid first becomes. And Roschon also has a chance to, climb value into potentially a guy that you could cash out for a late first if he has a great second half of the year.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, I see everybody commenting on it. Yes, Connor or AKA Ryan, making another account or getting your buddy to go on his account and spam the same trade question isn't going to do you any more justice. So I thought you got the message clear on the first take a lap we sent.
Yeah, Jay can take a hike as well too. I just popped him out of there.
You can eat some dirt, to be honest, buddy.
Classic. We got Dorcas as well. You guys just loved spamming the questions on Monday nights, eh? All right. Anyways, where were we? I'm going back up here. Okay.
Everybody's making fun of him or just spamming it now.
Yeah. Bobcat says, dynasty-wise, should we be hyped for Tank Dell? I would say so. Yeah. You probably spent a third-round rookie pick on the guy, and he's looking like a top 40 dynasty wide receiver at this point in time. So I would be pretty hyped if I had a couple Tank Dell shares. I think I have him in one dynasty league. I wasn't huge on Tank Dell. I feel like he always went off the board before I was picking. Not that I was low on him. I was fine with him at his price tag, but I feel like every time I had a 3-4 or a 3-5, he was picked at 3-1 in those leagues.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. This guy keeps making fucking accounts and typing the same goddamn trade question. I'm not even going to acknowledge what the trade is just so you can stew some more, pal.
Yeah, we're gonna keep tossing him out of the club like we're Zach Charbonnet on the goal line.
I'm a big guy. I can throw him out the club.
Yeah, it looks like Eric B is instilling that Kansas City offense where they just spread the ball to everyone. I mean, including to the Buffalo Bills secondary as well, because Sam Howell threw 4 interceptions in that game. But I do like, schematically what they've done. I think they were just outmatched. I think, Howell just needs more experience. They probably got a little high on themselves after going 2-0. They're like, oh, things are good in Washington. And then they ran into a buzzsaw team that's just way better than them. So, Rom says, what's up, lads? Any good bets tonight? So I actually can show the bets that I made tonight. I like some unders tonight. I actually did a whole thing of unders tonight. I'll show them on the screen here. But basically I could just actually read them off. I like Rashad White under 47.5 rushing yards, Jalen Hurts under 44.5 rushing yards, Joe Mixon under 46. Dude, literally Joe Mixon under rushing yards might be the best bet of all time every single week. Under 63.5 rushing yards for Joe Mixon. And then I also like Tutu Atwell under 54.5 receiving yards. I know he's done pretty well so far this season, but it's still Tutu Atwell. I think he could disappear pretty easily on any given game.
It is indeed Tutu Atwell at the end of the day.
Also, he says, also, I'm up by 5 and I need Godwin to outscore Puka. Ooh. I mean, you need Godwin to outscore Puka by 5 by the sounds of it. So I think that's a decent spread. Godwin versus Puka in terms of scoring, like projection wise, I think your app will probably say like Puka's projected for like 16 points versus Godwin's like 11 or 12.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Sorry, I'm just reading Andrew in the chat. We're gonna go. Who would you pair with Jacobs for Eckler? I'm thinking Higgins.
Oh, is that what he was saying?
That's what the guy was spamming.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, we got Steven Tejada here. We got PPR sit 1, Mixon, AJ Brown, Kyron Williams, or Puka. How do you have this? How do you have this many players still going here? Is my question. I guess you just have your whole team playing on this window of games.
In the PPR, you're sitting Mixon, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyron's workload's way better than Mixon's at this point in time, and he also gets a lot more pass catching work. Puka's like 35 targets are like the second most in the NFL, even though he's played 2 games. And AJ Brown's AJ Brown. So yeah, I'm probably sitting Joe Mixon there. He also is the worst player of this group.
He is actually garbage.
Dude, Joe Mixon sucks.
He is kind of atrocious.
So when I look at my like underdog best ball exposures, there's a glaring Chase Brown high exposure that's kind of hurting my portfolio right now. But I am excited seeing that every week that goes by, Joe Mixon gets more and more ineffective, as the season goes along. Leonardo says brutal week for me. Gibbs, Bijan, Javonte, Kelly, and Addison. Yeah, Josh Smelly can go to hell, man. I almost want to rage drop that guy just for no reason.
Let them know.
Danny, how about them boys? I mean, not great. I feel like the go-to, because everybody hates the Cowboys because it's fun, is every time the Cowboys do something poorly, we just say, how about them Cowboys? Because like Jimmy Johnson decided to do that in the 90s. Dan Fuller, so many running backs on my team. Which 2 would you take and which 2 would you trade? So again, I guess this is going to keep in mind, like overall, we'll rank them and then we'll say like based on market value, like who we're likely to trade kind of thing. So
you're keeping.
If I had to rank these guys, I would rank it Gibbs Kyron / A-Chain. That's really close. And then Aaron Jones because of the aging, hamstring injury situation. But those guys would all be probably top 16 to 18 running backs for me rest of the season. If I had to trade guys based on, I would trade Aaron Jones just because he's a big name and I'm scared about the injury. And I would also trade, I would keep Jahmyr Gibbs because he's, probably only going up from here. Kyron Williams, I would consider trading depending on what happens tonight. But Devon A-Chain, I'm also exploring the trade market and seeing what he's worth. Anytime somebody has over 50 fantasy points, you have to do it.
Well, yeah. Are you able to consolidate then? Because he says, which 2 should I trade? Are you able to take Kyron and Aaron Jones and go after like Tony Pollard?
Yeah, or ETN, or even, if you're 3-0 right now or something like that, maybe even going after Austin Eckler if you don't mind risking it, or going after Saquon Barkley if you don't mind risking it. I'm not totally in the business of trading for injured guys like that, but they would maybe be options you could go after. Need 1.4 more out of Brown than Evans. I think that's a pretty good spread that you got there. You should have that. Thoughts on Puka when Kupp comes back? He's probably not going to have 35 targets in 2 games, but he should still be a wide receiver 3, I'd imagine. Like, I can't imagine he's going to go away completely, especially if Stafford keeps playing at the level that he's playing. But Matthew Stafford, it seems like he's just like a lock-on RPG to whoever his number 1 receiver is. So maybe when Kupp's back, Puka doesn't have as much work.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Danny's just dying at all the comments now.
I am. Did we up 34 half PPR against T and Higbee? Am I good? You should be fine, I think. Sorry,
Yeah.
I missed that.
Sorry, for a second, I thought he was repeating the question in the form of a super chat.
My apologies, our gravy. I must have missed it because I was just dealing with, you could imagine. Another one from Carlos. Appreciate that. He says, drop Warren for A-Chain, Bigsby, or Mitchell. FU spammer. I mean,
A-Chain has to be on your team.
It's got to be A-Chain.
I would love to hold on to Warren, though. I don't want to drop Warren. Can you drop somebody else?
Anybody else, Carlos?
Do you have
not anybody, but you know
do you have
what I
a
mean.
Zay Jones on your roster or something like any kind of depth wide receiver? I would probably drop for A-Chain. If you got an elite quarterback, drop your backup. If you have an elite tight end, drop your backup, kind of thing too. But if you have to drop Warren, I would drop Warren for A-Chain.
Yeah. And I guess we will finally address the trade. Now, hopefully the spam ends up stopping because there's a super chat here. Let me know, who do I trade for Eckler and Jacobs? I don't think it's the same guy. I think he's making a joke, but regardless.
It's troll. Well, we'll answer the question anyway.
Yeah. What do you need to go from Eckler to Jacobs? Maybe Higgins?
Hold on here. Who do I trade for? Eckler, Jacobs? What is that? So who do I trade for? Eckler, Jacobs? Is that the question? Like the punctuation here is kind of missing at the moment.
I mean, if you can go from Eckler to Jacobs and also package a pocket of T Higgins, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm not even following because I'm.
Oh, do you not get the joke?
No, dude, I've been up at the top of the chat this whole time.
That was the trade that was like the guy kept spamming with like 7 different accounts. He kept saying which side, Eckler or Jacobs and Higgins. So
okay, well, yes, then I would take Jacobs and Higgins 100%.
Yeah. Do I trade Eckler for Jacobs and Higgins? Thank you. Any time there, I would take Jacobs and Higgins.
There you go. Farmer Will says, what are we doing with Mostert? Both Dolphins running backs, you got to float them on the trade market, see what you can get for them. Are you worried about A-Chain taking over the backfield? Yeah, probably. If I have Raheem Mostert, I'd be definitely more inclined to sell Raheem Mostert high than I would be to sell Devon A-Chain high if it came down to, if they were worth equal amount on your open market. But wild that we've gotten to this point that Raheem Mostert is the RB1 in fantasy through 3 weeks right now. He's literally the best running back in fantasy at this point in time.
Yeah. No, it's remarkable.
Yeah. Karen Williams. I saw that. Somebody's called Kyron Williams. Karen Williams.
Bush, not your fault for Josh Kelly. You let us all down. I'm up 18 and up against Mixon tonight. Half APR. I've lost so many Monday night FSC. Hopefully for you that Joe Mixon continues to be dog shit at football and he doesn't score 18 half PPR points.
So I guess we've confirmed now that the week 1 trap was Josh Kelly.
Yep.
Is anybody else? I guess Justice Hill hasn't played because he's been hurt. But, I thought it was Justice Hill for sure. I was sniffing out the week 1 trap at Justice Hill. It looks like it was Josh Kelly by all indications. Everybody, and Danny was all on board. He was all, look at the Ezekiel Elliott goal for Josh Kelly. And actually plays worse than Ezekiel Elliott.
I can only look at the snaps. I can only look at the opportunity when he gets.
I was just skeptical of the player's ability to be that good.
He is. You're the one who started him, asshole.
I thought he was a great play this week, as did
so did I. Yeah, you can't blame it on me and then say you had him in your starting lineup.
You did have him way higher in week 1 because you said he's going to be the new Zeke in the offense.
Hey, he ended up on more teams of yours than mine though, so you must have loved him.
Well, I had him on my raw. I didn't draft him, but I picked him up before the game started, and I just stashed him. I didn't have to pay anything on the waiver for him.
Come on, you must love Josh Kelly.
Or Tank Dell.
This is Kyron Williams.
Yeah, this is Kyron Williams. But, are you talking about for next week? Because Kyron Williams hasn't played yet today.
Yeah, assuming nothing bad happens, knock on wood, it's Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
Puka or Higgins tonight? 9. It's Puka for me.
Yeah. If you need just 9 points, I'd probably take the guy who's got the higher target share at this point in time.
Yes, sir.
I think Carlos had another question here. He said, follow up benches, Hall, Kittle, Spears, Warren. Okay, so he's like, should I drop Warren for A-Chain? I would drop Spears instead of Warren for A-Chain.
That's Miles Sanders. Okay. Are you able to consolidate it all? Can you do a 2-for-1 and clear a bench spot?
Waivers are going to run on Wednesday or whatever. If you just have to, drop Spears.
I would drop Spears.
Drop Spears.
Yeah, that's same. Okay.
Okay, so where were we? We got Toronto Dave in the chat. What's good? Haven't been able to watch the morning stream, but thoughts on QJ going forward with Mike Will out. So QJ and Josh Palmer going forward. QJ's the better stash if you're 2-1/3-0. Josh Palmer's the better option if you guys are in need of wins. And I would say, 20 to 30% of my fab, I'm okay dropping on either player. Just depending on are situation wise. Need Puka and AJ Brown to outscore Stafford and Tutu plus 30. You might lose tonight, Cody here. I mean, Puka and AJ Brown could do it, but Puka would also result in Stafford having a pretty decent game.
Well, let's just say for E's sake, assuming this is PPR, let's just say Puka went ballistic and scored 30. Even putting AJB straight up versus Stafford and Tutu is still tough because you get one Stafford to Tutu touchdown, and that's
well,
over.
yeah, and Stafford gets all the points for Puka too as well.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, it'd probably be pretty. You need AJ to go nuclear probably for this to happen.
Yeah, agreed.
Jacoby Myers thoughts. I mean, he's proven to be a pretty solid flex option going forward. It's very clear that they want to use him as the wide receiver 2 there. I hope they trade Hunter Renfrow, dude. Hunter Renfrow's a good player, and they're literally not even using him.
Trade him for the Bucs,
and I drafted him way too much in Best Ball Mania, so I need them to salvage my shares.
Super from OC, because I believe we already got to Carlos. Yes, lost Chubb and Williams. Should I try to sell high on Debo and Achane or keep them currently about to be 1 and 2? I would absolutely try to sell high on them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Achane's a great option going forward. Don't get me wrong, but he also is pretty volatile still. So knowing that you don't have Chubb anymore and Mike Williams, you probably want a little bit more stable production. So maybe see what it costs to go from Achane to Ramondre Stevenson or Achane to Josh Jacobs or Jahmyr Gibbs or something like that. That would be my inclination. But I mean, if you have to keep both of them, it's fine if nobody's biting on trades. Is Puka juice a go?
Oh, half PPR got Ayuk, Watson, Judy, Kirk for 1 flex spot. Running backs are Eckler, RB2 move. Oh, yeah. If this is a start-sit question for next week, it's going to be too early to tell. But just based off options that I'm looking at, it would be Ayuk, assuming he plays.
Yeah, if Ayuk plays, definitely going Ayuk. And if Ayuk doesn't play, but Watson plays, I would probably go Watson.
Yeah. I mean, you got AJT and Swift left in your 40 down. I think you should be able to win that. It's gonna be close.
AJT and Swift, yeah.
It's half PPR. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna need some tugs. I would say you got like a 40% chance of winning that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 45.
But yeah, Puka is officially active today. I came out a couple minutes ago, the inactive. So he is going to be playing. Trade Garrett Wilson for Zay Flowers. No. Do not do that. If Zach Wilson has one more game like he had against the New England Patriots, I promise you they're not going to continue saying this whole Zach Wilson is our quarterback. There's a fucking fruit fly in my face right now.
But always are fruit flies. They love you.
Dude, I don't know where the fruit flies are coming from in my house, man. Like our countertops are pristine. There's never any shit on there. Like I don't know where these fruit flies are coming from.
Bro, they see you ready to hop on the live and that's when they're coming out.
Yeah, true. Mark says traded Mostert for Ridley, half PPR, hoping dude, selling high on Mostert for Calvin Ridley, like that is a great move. And Calvin Ridley will 100% probably be on the thumbnail, let alone in the video for the wide receiver trade targets video.
I can already guess based off you.
Easily one of the best.
I can already guess based off you. It's going to be like Ridley, Lamb, and if Jamar Chase has a bad game, Jamar Chase.
Well, I talked about Chase last week, so I probably won't talk about Chase again. But there's definitely some guys that are very good buy lows, and Lamb and Ridley are 2 of them for sure. The key with buy lows is just like, what is this guy? Is he still the same guy that we thought he was? Is he worse? Like we don't want to underreact to stuff. We don't want to overreact to stuff. And Calvin Ridley's just been unlucky so far.
My bad. I misread Federico's question, so apologies there. He says again here, it was a should I trade for an RB2 question. So his currently RB2 is DeAndre Swift, and I will say
Eckler's his RB1 who's hurt, so yeah you probably should trade for an RB2.
Now, who would you move out of that?
Probably Ayuk, given the fact that he had a monster week 1.
Yeah, I mean it is
you
tough.
Can maybe get up to Ramondre Stevenson or Josh Jacobs with Ayuk alone, to be honest.
Yeah, if you can try that, that'd be really solid. I will say it does leave you very, very weak at wide receiver.
Not really though, because Watson's going to be back soon, and he's going to be probably like. Is there a difference realistically between Watson and Ayuk rest of the season?
No, but I'm saying like you're going to lose another spot at wide receiver, so you must have an extremely
but this is his flex. These are his flex options, right? So he must have like 2 solidified guys ahead of these guys.
Oh, Oh, I was thinking that was his wide
So
receiver.
he's really strong at wide receiver, and
Okay.
Judy is not going to fetch you anything. Christian Kirk probably won't fetch you much. You might as well sell high on Ayuk and get yourself a solidified RB.
No, you're right. I misread it. I forgot that. I mean, he's got AJT and Swift left, so he's got AJ and T already. Yeah, no, absolutely. Then if you can move Brandon Ayuk into a running back, that would be great.
Yeah, I guess he has AJ and T as his top receivers there.
Yep. Yeah, my apologies.
Mostert and Flowers for Debo. Did I win? Yeah, I think I'd take Debo there.
Yeah, I think you probably could have gotten more. I'm not gonna lie. I
think you probably could have as
Ridley?
well, but I think I prefer your side of the package. Maybe if you'd thrown in a Debo plus like Charbonnet or something on the bench, I think I would like this deal a little bit more if it was a 2 for 2. But overall, no complaints there.
Yep.
Should I pick up A-Chain if I have Mostert? You should pick up A-Chain regardless of who you have. So yeah, I would pick up A-Chain. If you drop your whole budget, then do it.
Yep, and buy low on Jacobs. Amen. I mean, I do think if you can get him cheap enough, like depends what the price is. I think you could probably pretty easily get him for mid RB2 prices. He's probably like RB 8 to 12 area rest of the season, depending on how well we see this offensive line bounce back, just based off the usage, right? So I do like Josh Jacobs. I think if you can get him at a good price, I would go for him. And like Carlos said, if you're watching the stream, there's 120 of you in here. I can tell you right now, there isn't 120 likes. So
probably like 22 likes or something like that.
If you're watching the stream, we answered one of your questions, or you're just enjoying the content in general, it doesn't hurt to hit that like button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe as well. We're on the road to 40,000 as always, like I say in every video, but appreciate that, Carlos.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we will have a waiver talk tomorrow morning, probably like 10, 11, 12 p.m. Latest there. So, what we got? What's the value for Ford? I got him and want to trade him for a consistent running back or wide receiver. Which guys should I target to get a good value for Ford right now? So I would imagine Ford might make an appearance on your running back trade targets video.
Yep.
I would say like anytime you got a guy like Jerome Ford, who's like more of your RB2 archetype, he's going to get the volume. He's going to probably be solid this year. But anytime you can take Jerome Ford plus Michael Pittman or plus somebody that had a good week and go up and get CeeDee Lamb or Calvin Ridley or somebody like that, that's always going to be a move that I'm looking to make. So the goal of your drafting and your churning the waiver wire and stuff is that you have so much depth that you can afford to like lose trades. That's like the ideal place to be in redraft, in my opinion. So hopefully when you grabbed Ford, you have a number of like wide receivers that you can use in tandem with Jerome Ford to package to get up to a better running back or a better wide receiver. So as far as like exact names, like whatever it costs you to go Ford plus to get to Ridley or to get to CeeDee Lamb or to get to Godwin if he has another down game this week, or to get to AJ Brown if he has another down game this week, or Jamar Chase if he has another down game this week. Those are the types of guys I'd be going after for sure. Shout out Palmer for Brampton. Yes, Josh Palmer about to be the second best Canadian in the NFL right now because Javon Holland's like having a great season so far, so he's probably the best Canadian at this point in time.
Yep.
Did you answer yet Burrow or Stafford tonight? So Burrow is officially active. If you had both of them hypothetically, because Stafford was available on your waiver wire, you grabbed him in case Burrow didn't play. Are you just going to play Burrow or are you going to play Stafford?
I'll play Burrow. Like if he's playing in this game, he has to be at least suitable to be able to throw the football. Otherwise, why would they put him out there? He is their franchise quarterback. He's making $50+ million. Like, is one game against the Rams going to be worth hindering maybe the rest of your season if Joe Burrow suffers a setback in this game? Like, I think if he's playing tonight, like, yeah, he may not be 100%. He may not even be 90%, but even an 80-85% Burrow with the weapon should be able to deal. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading one of Ron's tweets because he's bitching about the Jets on Twitter, and people are like, why don't you just answer start sits like a normal fantasy analyst or something like that? He's like, this shit is I bitch on Twitter. Sorry, like go, and he's like, go follow my my start sit Twitter account, fantasy goat 4568901 or whatever the hell he said. So I thought that was funny. Should I start Puka or Higgins flex full PPR tonight? I probably in full PPR, I would probably go Puka, especially if you need a baseline or like a floor type of performance. So yeah, a lot of Burrow Stafford questions. I'm going Burrow as well. If you waited for Burrow, then I would probably just go with him.
Yep.
God bless Devontae Adams. Truly. Yeah, dude, it feels pretty good. My Tone Setter Truthers team is like the opposite of what you want to do in Superflex. I have such good running backs and such good wide receivers, but my quarterbacks are riding on the shoulders of like Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, and Sam Howell.
You won this
So
week.
I did win this week. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Devontae Adams absolutely fucking dominated. So that helped. And Christian McCaffrey did the Lord's work, as did George Kittle.
Hey, you bounced back after the tough loss to Team Danny Ladd 21 last week, eh?
Did you win this week?
Yeah, I'm 2-1. I beat Doc.
Well, you haven't beaten him yet.
I mean,
you're down 32 points, dude.
I'm projected to win by 36.
I mean, you have Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams.
if I lose tonight with an 88% chance, I'll be fucking.
That would be pretty shit if you lost with that many players going.
I'll cry.
I will be all the way here though for a Jalen Hurts letdown performance, because I need to have Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Mike Evans, and Devontae Smith combined for less than 55, which is probably not going to happen, but hopefully it does.
Real talk. Have you seen fucking Skull Canada's teams in our two leagues, the No Flock and the Tones That Are Truthers? I think he's put up in each of those leagues back-to-back 200-point weeks.
Yeah, this guy's just absolutely cooking. Is he in No Flocking too?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
well, I think he's first with most points.
Team is looking very tanky, and I love it.
Mine's
I've
the
just
opposite.
Offloaded all my Pollard, all those type of guys. It's been fun.
Dude, I scored 185 points last week in No Flocking, and I lost by 40 because he put up 225 on my head.
Yeah, did you see the trade I made last week too with Sir King Jared?
What was it?
He traded me Elijah Moore, a second and a fourth for DJ Moore.
That's pretty fair.
I'm trying to get 101, right? I realistically could I have gotten slightly more for DJ Moore potentially, but
I mean,
the Bears are kind of a dumpster fire. I'll take Elijah Moore, a 2 and a 4.
What else were you gonna get? Maybe a slightly better wide receiver than Elijah Moore.
Yeah, and I mean Jared's team is pretty solid, but it's kind of banged up right now, and I think I view him. Sorry if you're in the chat here, Jared. I view him as more of a fraudulent, trying to contend type of team rather than a true contender. So I think that's probably a mid pick if I had to imagine.
Well, I mean, if I were to say right now, the top contenders, just based off I mean, Mighty Booch, to be fair, has 340 points in fucking 2 weeks. How did you lose a game? Tyreek. Okay, I see it. Yeah, that was Oh, she's without A-Rich right now, to be fair. I mean, for what it's worth, this week I'm going to score 250
Jones at the moment. And she also had Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor and Kyler Murray and Brandon Ayuk, who was out.
That's going to be tough. I mean, Brock's team's also good. I like my team, of course, too.
Yeah, my team. I mean, at this point, my team is just a shell of quarterbacks and wide receivers. I sold off Tony Pollard. I sold off DJ Moore. All I have left to ride my hat on, though, but my young QBs, man, I'm very excited about them. I got Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Mac Jones. And I think I also have somebody else too. No, that's it. And then I have a bunch of young receivers: Jordan Addison, Elijah Moore, Quentin Johnston, somebody else too. I got Nico Collins, Jonathan Mingo.
In that league, I'm going to be without Mike Williams.
Yeah, I just need to add studs to this team realistically. My tight ends are probably decent as well. I just need to add, a Marvin Harrison type or a bunch of running backs. And I have a number of picks. I have fucking a bunch of seconds this year and next. And then I have an extra first, I think, next year as well.
That league, I'm going to be pretty tough because I lost my third quarterback with Derek Carr. And I actually have Andy Dalton. So hopefully in the short term, nothing happens to my other guys. But I mean, he's good insurance. And I also lost, what's his face? Mike Williams. So that's going to be fucking shit.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Washington did run into a buzzsaw. I will say, I'm trying to make a trade with, if Jamar Chase has a down week this week, I told you this on the other stream. I'm trying to do Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Devon Achane for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. In my mind, I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase for Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. Maybe that's not a wash in your guys' opinion. To me, it feels relatively close to a wash, as much as I would prefer the Buffalo Bills stack at this point in time. I think the difference between Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle is pretty large, though, especially in a league that rewards big play bonuses like mine. So that's kind of where I'm thinking with that trade. We'll see how it goes this week, though.
Already run this week from Moser. Hello, gents. Hello, Atomic. Appreciate you popping in. Nice OG of the chat. Next one from Justin. Should I drop Drake London and pick up Jacoby Myers or Mims Jr. or keep London? Keep London. Yeah, keep London.
Unfortunately, with Drake London, you're going to get stinkers because Desmond Ridder sucks. But Bright side is that Desmond Ritter's thrown 32 and 38 passes the last 2 weeks.
Terrell, you could have like spaced it out a little bit, but I mean, I can read this too. I'm up 57 with 2-2 left to play. He has Puka, Godwin, and Dallas Goddard. I think
this is like how fast we talk, but in a text.
Literally though, I think you should be able to win that. I mean, 57 is, if it's full PPR, it's relatively closer. But like, even if he would basically need all those guys to average like almost 19 points per game each. Like, yeah, literally 19 points per game between them.
I mean, you get 23 points out of Puka, 18 points out of Godwin, and 15 points out of Goddard. Like, that's how you lose, which would be pretty crazy. I think that's close to the nuts for all of those guys.
Oh, okay. Does it charge you based off characters? I didn't even know that on YouTube. He says you only get 50 characters. I didn't even realize that, Terrell. Appreciate that. I didn't even know that.
He really found a workaround for it.
I mean, like, you could have just said up 57, 2-2 left to play. Puka, Godwin, Dallas. Should I win? I mean, like, it probably would have saved
you. You could have also like added another chat on after.
Well. I fuck with the creativity there, bro.
Sports Dude says need Puka, Kyron, and Smith to outscore White and Brown by 36. You're gonna need a pretty monster. I mean, Smith has been kind of outdoing AJ Brown for a couple weeks now. Maybe he does it again, but Rachaad White can stink at times, so it's possible that you win that. I'd put that at like a 25-30% chance though.
Yep, probably around there.
I believe in that. And the fact, yeah, dude, Ritter is just fucking brutal. Sorry if I asked already, but thoughts on Garrett Wilson? Half PPR, sell lower, pray Jets move off of Zach Wilson. So bright side, he's not going to be playing the Cowboys and Patriots every week. Not bright side, they seem content to roll with him going forward. If I were the Jets, I would just get Joe Flacco in house. Like, they don't seem content on trading for a quarterback or going after like a big name guy, but at least get a better backup than what you currently have. Because what happens if Zach Wilson gets injured, who's dealt with some injuries in his career? Like, then you can start Tim Boyle. Like, how can you reasonably say to your locker room that you're trying to win with that situation? Like, you've got to bring Joe Flacco in. Like, do the bare minimum. Bring in Carson Wentz or Joe Flacco, somebody. Like, you got to bring in somebody.
Yep, agreed. I got a super from Reese. Appreciate that. He says, what is Quentin Johnston's value now in Dino? Superflex more than a 2024 mid-first question mark? I would personally liquidate for a mid-first.
I would take a late one for Quentin Johnston at this point in time.
I would say
I'm the late ones. I think Quentin Johnston probably saw a little bit of a spike in value, but I am kind of a little concerned with what I've seen on the field so far. So yeah. I would, knowing that this class is expected to be pretty deep, which again, we said that about last year's class, but I think, this year's class is looking pretty solid towards the back end of the first. I think I would cash out for a late first even, let alone a mid to late or a mid first.
Yep. No, that's fair. I would like late first, like you said, is probably about the going rate in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
Carlos says need Chase, Mixon, Goddard to score less than 80. Yeah, you should be good there, Carlos.
Mixon and Goddard will get like 10 points each, so you're gonna need a nuclear performance out of Chase to lose.
Yep, agreed.
Cortland Sutton rest of season thoughts. I mean, he's been great so far, to be honest. And if I had played him instead of Gus Edwards, like I fucking should have in our listener redraft league, I'd be cruising tonight. But instead, I got to worry about what is the thing that I'm up like?
Are you projected to win?
Points. I'm up 7 points, and I have DeAndre Swift, and he has Puka Nacua and Joe Mixon, which is a little sketchy.
Ooh, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I think you lose that.
I probably do. I'm listed as a 21% chance to win. Had I played Sutton over Gus Edwards, though, I would be up 22 points right now with that same scenario.
Bush, bro.
And I had Cortland Sutton in there, so this isn't like as simple as me being like, if only I played Devon A-Chain, because nobody was actually going to play him.
Bushy boy, you're about to be 1-2 in that league, eh?
I know. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you draft August 18th and pick Jonathan Taylor in the third round.
I'm fucking with you. Don't worry. I'm going to be 1-2 most likely in my home league.
I think if I were you guys, I'd be very concerned if I'm not, 1-3 after the first 4 weeks, because if I get Jonathan Taylor back on a 2-1 team or 2-2 team or a 3-1 team, it's going to be curtains because the rest of my team is pretty strong.
Curtains maybe to everybody but me in that league.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jefferson and fucking Tyreek. I'm still so annoyed by that. But Pittman, I mean, some of my late round picks have been pretty solid. Like Lockett's had some good weeks. Pittman's had some good weeks. Bijan's obviously been really good. Josh Allen's obviously been really good. Swift's been a great find in the late rounds for me. So, my team's in pretty good shape. But he also says, would you do Ridley for Lockett and Sutton? Yeah, I absolutely would rather have Calvin Ridley in that situation there.
Yep.
Also, weird thing too, Cortland Sutton was actually dropped in my league the other day. I know, it was weird. And I should have dropped more of my fab on him, to be honest. I dropped like 25 and I didn't get him. Somebody dropped like $35 on him. I honestly should have dropped more. Especially
good this year, yeah.
Crystal ball wise, if you told me that fucking Mike Williams was going to blow his knee out the next week, I definitely would have dropped more.
Yeah, I mean, the crystal ball wise in my one home league. Oh my god, you're gonna roast me.
Dude. You can't call home leagues.
In my
you have 2 home dynasty leagues and 2 home redraft leagues. You can't have 4 home leagues. Pick one. That's your home league.
In my one home league that I commish.
Okay, that's your home league. You never allowed to use
that. No.
Just come up with a different name for it. Like, is it your like football buddies league or like, you know what I mean? Like, come up with a different name for it. It's like it's the listener league or it's the home league. That's what it is.
Both home leagues though.
No, you can't have 2 home leagues. I'm taking a stand against multiple home league people.
In my one league, that just so happens to be with my guys from home.
Is it your longest standing league?
No.
Then it's not your home league.
Okay, the league from the guys at home.
Okay, well, what is there a difference in the group of guys that this league is?
2 different groups.
Actual home league.
Huh? 2 different groups. 2 different groups.
Okay, so come up with a name of the league that you're gonna go by going forward.
Box Munchers.
The box. Yes.
That's what it's called.
I know it's called that. Let's come up with a less disgusting name.
Sorry. If I had hindsight, I wouldn't have dropped 100 fab to go from A-Chain to Pitts off the waiver wire last week, man.
I still can't believe you fucking dropped A-Chain. Well, I mean, going after Pitts was smart, I think, hypothetically, but dropping A-Chain instead of Elijah Mitchell or Chuba Hubbard was not smart.
Just no luck.
Hey, what's going on? Dotson is a drop. Ugh, probably not a drop, but he's getting closer to it. Should I take A-Chain or Josh Palmer off of waivers? Wide receiver. I mean, I don't care who your wide receivers are. You take A-Chain.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and after you get A-Chain, maybe you want to consolidate. I think we already talked about this, but, take Rashad White and A-Chain and see what that gets you. Thanks, fellas. No problem. They use Curtis Samuel more than we thought. I think we all kind of expected that, though. I drafted a lot of Curtis Samuel in best ball, thinking that he was going to be, pretty involved in that offense. But yeah, we just need Sam Howell to not play like absolute dog shit this week, and we'll be fine.
I'm 2-1 with JT right now, and I'm top 3 in scoring still.
Not bad.
Boy. Not too shabby.
Kyron Williams and Mike Evans combined for over 24 full PPR. I think you probably got that in the bag there.
Hopefully more Kyron than Mike Evans for the record. I need less than, I think, 15.9 PPR points in my home league. Bush.
There you go.
Okay.
Jay Boz says, I'm leading by 5 points PPR league. I have Burrow or Stafford. I don't know who's going to catch more passes, but I would take Burrow. He said he has T. Higgins, if you're leading by 5 points and he has T. Higgins, I would play Burrow regardless, but I'm definitely playing Burrow to block his T. Higgins points.
Yeah, I like it.
Also, we finally got to Dorcas asked this question like 7 times, but we got to the first one, which is how this works going forward. So keep that in mind. Should I trade Eckler for Jacobs and Higgins? I need to know in 16 seconds. I don't know why it was 16 seconds, but you didn't know in 16 seconds. But if you're still here, we would do Jacobs and Higgins.
He's gotten like 5 accounts banned. I'd be surprised if he's still here.
Anyways, Frederico says I have Ayuk, Judy, and Kirk and Watson. Okay, we already answered. This was a super chat, right?
Yeah.
Dak or Fields? Give me Dak there going forward. Trade Tank for Terry. Yeah, absolutely. Give me Terry McLaurin. What?
Yep. All day.
How does Jeff Wilson factor in? What happens to Jonathan Taylor? Is he traded? I am very so I will say, like, if you guys are like, oh, logic would tell you it's week 4, Jonathan Taylor's coming back next week. He's a buy low. I don't think I'm very certain on that right now. Like, where are you at with Jonathan Taylor? Like, is he a buy low because he's coming back next week? Or are you concerned that he's still not going to play for the Colts because he doesn't have a contract?
Well, in any sharp league, everybody knows he's coming back next week. So how are you going to buy low from the guy who just held him for 4 weeks?
Exactly.
Realistically.
It's not like maybe if that guy's 0-3,
maybe, yeah, but you have to hope he is, basically.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, if you drafted Jonathan Taylor, like, you kind of are stuck with holding him at this point in time.
Well, let me tell you right now, you're 1-2 in the listener redraft league. If I went up to you and say, hey, listen, I'll give you Isaiah Pacheco for Jonathan Taylor, you're laughing in my face.
First of all, not 1-2 yet, but second of all, I would laugh in your face 100%.
That's what I'm saying. But like, Isaiah Pacheco would be the type of back you'd want to move to buy Jonathan Taylor low, right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So, Yeah, I mean, if you can get that type of price tag in your league, absolutely
it's probably
go buy
not
him.
going to work. But
it's not going to
like
work.
nobody's going to give you like Jonathan Taylor for Alexander Madison or Rashad White or something like that.
Nope. You have where we left off.
Yeah. Thinking about trying to flip A-Chain in Dynasty. Is Christian Watson a good ask? Any other? I think that's definitely a good trade to move. I think A-Chain's probably climbing up the Dynasty radar, especially with how barren the running back position is. Like, how quickly does A-Chain fly up the pecking order in the running back position, like in Dynasty? Like, realistically, he could fly all the way up to like RB7 with one more good week.
Is he, like, realistically, knowing the market right now, would you value him as a top 18 running back in Dynasty?
I already valued him like I think RB18 heading into the season, or RB19 or 20 or something.
Gauging
he was
where
like
you're
right
at
there already. So yeah, he probably like. Who would you rather
top
have
12?
in Dynasty? Who would you rather have in Dynasty? Let me actually look at what Keep Trade Cut has him ranked, just because I want to see who I would rather have. Would you rather have Javonte Williams or Devon A-Chain in Dynasty?
Probably.
I think I would rather have Javonte Williams.
Same.
But I think that's probably like Javonte Williams is RB15 in Dynasty right now, right behind Ramondre Stevenson. Devon A-Chain is RB13 in Dynasty right now.
Probably one spot behind Kyron right now, right?
Kyron's
listed high on
Kyron
that site.
is RB16, which
so he dropped. Okay,
way too fucking high for Kyron Williams.
I agree. Kyron's the type of guy where if I have him, I'm trying to tear up. And I mean, I will say this with the
Damian, you could get Damian Pierce straight up for Kyron Williams right now, and I would 100% do that. You could get probably DeAndre Swift straight up for him as well. You could probably get like Kendre Miller and a second for Kyron Williams at this point in time. And if you're
James Cook or Devon A-Chain Dynasty,
what's up?
James Cook or Devon A-Chain Dynasty.
They're back to back in the Keep Trade Cut rankings right now. I would prefer A-Chain. I think
that's about the cutoff.
I just think Cook is too high. I don't think he should be that high. Like, because I would prefer Ramondre Stevenson and Javonte Williams to both of them.
Okay, fair. Let's put them up. Would you put? I'm assuming you take A-Chain and Cook over Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I would take them both over Brian Robinson for sure.
So I mean, looking at the
I would take Damian Pierce over James Cook still.
I wouldn't.
I would.
No chance I would. I mean, he's getting the 3-down workload on a much better offense.
Well, for what it's worth, he is getting a better workload this week, Damian Pierce. And he's also tethered to a quarterback that looks like he might be the real deal. Obviously, James Cook is tethered to a quarterback,
top 3 quarterback
with Josh Allen, but he's also not an integral part of the red zone offense in Buffalo.
Potentially, but at the same time, they're going to get exposed to 30-plus points per game potentially if the Bills is clicking versus the Texans.
I think my big takeaway here is that the running back landscape is like whoever had a good week is like a top 15 Dynasty running back.
Like, that's basically what we have to start treating running backs as now.
There's literally no, like, it doesn't go 20 deep of like great running backs in Dynasty. And the second we get the rookies in here from this year, if we get, let's say, 3 running backs go in the top 2 rounds, then they're all going to be top 12 Dynasty running backs immediately. Like, that's just how running back works.
Oh, by the way, if it wasn't enough that I traded Devon A-Chain dropped him in my redraft league, Brock just reminded me of the fact that the move I made last week to buy more production was Devon A-Chain a second and Jerry Jeudy for Puka and Kyron Williams.
Ooh, yikes, dude.
As a top 3 contender, I fucking tried to buy some points, and this guy just so happens to score 57 literally a week and a half after I do that.
Devastating. Anyways, Danny is making some rough trades at this point in time, and absolutely sleeping on Devon A-Chain. So game is on. I gotta watch it. Obviously, go Bucs. I said this earlier. I'm not American, so I'm allowed to say this, but I'm condoning killing the Eagles tonight. And I know in America you're not allowed to do that. So I will take that to the bank. Of course, Rondé Barber, Hall of Famer, inducted this year, shut down that stupid fucking Veterans Stadium that the Buccaneers had so much problems with. I just listened to my favorite Bucs podcast, had Brad Johnson, Buccaneers Super Bowl winning quarterback, on it the other day. So I was listening to that earlier. M says up 84 and half PPR versus Hurts, Williams, Chase, Nacua. I mean, I would say that's probably in the bag for you. 84 and half PPR is a lot to come back from. Like, you need 20 points out of each of those guys. So I'd say like 85% chance you win that.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it earlier. So our apologies, like if we did miss it, but yeah, no, you should be able to win that. I would say, especially in a half PPR. If it was full PPR, I'd still say you should win it, but half PPR especially.
All right. Take it easy, fellas. Appreciate you for tuning in.
Yep.
Bright and early tomorrow for waivers.
Amen.